Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again, and welcome back to Cards in Hand, the podcast all about the One Piece card game, as well as a little bit of sprinkle of One Piece anime and manga in there. But as we mentioned on the previous episode, I believe episode 21, we were introducing my man Luis right above, and we were talking about, his entry into this podcast, and we're super excited to talk about a lot of things today. But one thing in particular, the ban list that just came out for the OP12 meta for us in the West, as well as the OP13 meta. But they don't have it at the very beginning, I don't think. So it's kind of like an interesting, they have like I think they have to wait till the 30th, right?
Yeah, they have to wait till next Saturday, but essentially it doesn't matter because their first actual events that can potentially give a world or not a world invite, but I guess an invite to the Japan finals or something
Mm-hmm.
is with the ban list enacted.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really interesting. There's always kind of like these half or like quarter formats that end up getting built around the release date of some of the ban list announcements and whatnot. And I just find it very intriguing because was looking over this and it was kind of not what I expected, but like I'm fine with it? Question
Yeah.
mark. So my thoughts initially were okay. Blue Purple Luffy definitely took a big hit. Nami, I was like, oh my god, thank God, hooray!
I was so happy.
Yeah,
I've been praying for anyone that knows me locally. I've been saying Nami has limited blues card design since she was released. Every time I saw a card that drew cards, it put it at the bottom of the deck, or it wasn't plus neutral, or it was tied to being multicolored leadered. And so mono blue, unless you were blue Doflamingo, has basically sucked since Nami got introduced.
yeah, yeah,
Blue Doflamingo was like the exception. Everything else, if you're a mono blue, at best you're a tier two deck.
yeah. It,
And
it was
Nami was a big
crazy.
reason.
Yeah, no kidding. And honestly, like, no hate. I have so many friends and people that I've watched play this deck, and I'm like, God, like I can't do that. They have that deck figured out in and out. But it was when I started to see some of the OP13 cards being released and everything, I was like, good Lord, Nami's gonna be insane. And then thankfully, they ended up they ended up giving her
Yeah,
the axe. So it does have a promo being reprinted that it can only use East Blue cards, but I think it was really funny. I can't remember who posted it, but somebody posted all of the East Blue cards that there were in blue, and you can't even build a Nami deck yet.
yeah.
Like there's like only 30, I think. There's like 30 East Blue cards. That's it. So obviously that's going to see more support in the future. But ladies and gentlemen, that was kind of like the two big things that I was like, yes, perfect, hooray. And then they unbanned Sakazuki. And I was like, no, no. I'm like on the fence about it because obviously it's nowhere near as powerful as it was back in like OP06, where it had Gecko Moria, it had Ice Age. And in Japan, there was a brief moment where they actually had Gecko Moria, Ice Age, and Great Eruption. So, like, God bless, they had to deal with that. We didn't, thankfully. But man, it's one of those decks that, to me, it doesn't matter what you ban or what you get rid of. It's still always going to be good. It is going to be relevant because it's a phenomenal color combination. It has so much synergy between the Navy cards and all of these other like random tech pieces that you can throw in. So it's a very powerful leader, and I don't believe that that's a bad thing, having a powerful leader. But when you have something that can cycle cards freely, and the cycle itself puts cards into trash, which is relevant for the color black, it becomes extremely scary to me, knowing that this card is here essentially for at least, I would say, minimum the next year.
Yeah. I think when I saw Sokka and ban, I'm like, okay, like as you mentioned, no Moria, no Ice Age, no Great Eruption. That matters a ton because
Hmm.
Moria being the 9K beater after it already clears your board is like one of the biggest reasons it was so oppressive in black.
Right.
But I mean, I think I kind of agree. I don't think it's going to be tier zero. It feels almost impossible, especially when there's things like Zoro that probably mess up a lot of the setup. Uh, but to me, I'm like, especially in 12, this is in certain matchups just better Lucci. And other matchups slightly worse because Lucci being 5 life is so much more relevant as
Yeah.
opposed to having the access to bottom deck. But overall, like I think it's fine. I think it'll spice up something. I do like that it's like a deck builder's paradise because there's so many options that we've gotten since he was banned. I mean, the amount of cards that you could add now is insane. And
Yeah.
so I am kind of curious to see how people, crack the deck list because of stuff like 7 cost Sengoku now existing. Is there a world that the new Kuzan stuff, some of the new blue stuff that they're playing, is that played in this? I remember when '07 was coming out, Sokka was banned for us, but Japan technically had Sokka until like for like 1 or 2 weeks in '07. And so people, I remember when 6 cost Boa was announced, people were like, "Is this broken? Like, can we
Yeah.
break this?" And I'm like, "Well, if there's a Kuzan on board and your Boa is bottom decking a 4 or 5, while also freezing something else, yeah, that probably is broken." So I'm curious to see if that ever actually comes to fruition now. Um, but all that being said, I don't think it'll be tier zero. I think it'll be good. I think we'll see it do good. Someone will probably get an invite with it.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if eventually maybe not tier zero, but it's like, oh, this is a top 3 deck for sure, no matter what. In the future, just because blue black is such a good combo. There's so many like generic pieces that work together. The biggest thing is that near future, it looks like he's dead in 13. Dead is a strong word. He loses to Emu almost guaranteed. When you can't remove anything, yeah, you probably lost.
Yeah.
But it's like the same thing with Lucci in 11 and to a certain degree still in 12. Lucci beats damn near everything, as long as you're not Buggy or Teach. Sokka will probably have something similar, where he beats almost everything aside from like Zoro and Emu. And that's not necessarily bad, unless Emu is like obviously a super high play rate or whatever. And so I'm curious to see how it goes. I think it's a good thing. Like I'm not complaining, but I wouldn't be surprised if somehow someone broke him and they're like, "Yep, he's just the best removal deck in 12, and that's really strong, and he's the best."
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be like a problem like he was in 5 and 6.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's interesting when you bring that up. Talking about kind of like the tier 0 decks that we used to have in some of the early stages of this card game. You had decks like Whitebeard, like Sokka when it first came out, into Red Purple Law. Some of these decks that were just how do you beat them essentially, and I think it's very interesting that with this ban list, one like common factor I've been seeing across like so many different creators as well as just people talking in the community, whether it's through Discord posts that I've been seeing, posts on X, everybody, nobody knows what they're gonna play for OP12 because it just seems to me to be very like the deck lists haven't been refined yet. They haven't been figured out. So, and obviously, I mean, it's been what, like 3 days? Yeah, I think it's been 3 days. But it's one of those things that I've been playing a bunch. I've been trying a bunch of different matchups, playing a bunch of different decks, and finding a deck list that feels like it has an above average win rate into every matchup or into mostly every matchup is really hard right now. Like you can't, there's not one thing that just feels like it wins everything or it wins most consistently everything. Um, so I just find it very interesting because I'm like, does that mean that they made actually a very good ban list? Because now we have, in my opinion, we have like a bunch of decks that in the East, it was Green Zoro and Rayleigh. They were like the top dogs. They were the decks to beat. And if you could beat those, then you could find yourself, in the finals or, somewhere. But now I think with the ban list and what it's kind of done to shift some of the decks, you bring out all these rogue lists that end up countering those two, and Sakazuki specifically is like the biggest counter to Rayleigh. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see the event that we have coming up on the 30th, because I believe that we have a Treasure Cup on the 30th
Mhm.
that is going to have the ban list. It's going to be enabled, if I'm not mistaken, for that event. So that is going to be a really, really interesting one, because I think that Sakazuki is just going to decimate Rayleigh. I watched a couple of games of some buddies playing, great players, like phenomenal players, playing that matchup, and like Saka took 1 out of like 7 games. It was, it's tough. It's like a matchup that basically you can do as much as you want, but you can remove their whole board, and they're like, yeah, okay. Sokka's like just winning this
Yeah.
game. The only way that you're able to somehow win as Rayleigh is the unblockable event. You basically need to see like 3 of those.
Yeah, you just chain it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like 3 unblockable turns in a row. But I mean, and your survivability with Rayleigh is incredible just because of all of the zero cost plus 2Ks. So I'm pretty happy so far with how the ban list is shaking out. I think that this is one thing I wanted to touch the surface on, and I'm interested in your opinion as well, is do you believe that Blue Purple Luffy is dead? Because I don't see a lot of people playing it right now because they kind of want to explore different avenues, but also they're not entirely sure yet where the deck lies. But I think with those 2 cards being hit, it was a very substantial hit, and by dead, do you mean, I don't mean dead for the future, because obviously there's going to be cards that come out that'll change how that deck is played and how it's built and everything. But just for OP12 specifically, how do you feel after they have taken out the 8 cost Katakuri and the 9 cost Big Bomb from the list?
So I think I wouldn't have said. I mean, I guess if there was a tier list, I would have probably had. I don't think he's like a true 2-0 deck, but he would have been in a tier of its own in
Mm-hmm.
12. And so now we go from like, okay, he was like tier point 0.5, I guess.
Yeah.
And I would probably put him in tier 2, which is still pretty high. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if either the Dofi package just works. Like when the Dofi package, I mean, it literally won a regional, right? It won Vegas. I
Yeah.
mean, that was still when it was trying to run Kata and Big Mom. It had like 6 2Ks. Like, it was an incredibly greedy list. And now losing Kata and Big Mom matters. But when you're able to slot in the 8 cost Dofi and the 5 cost Resonante very easily, it's very quickly, okay, my 4 Katas and my 4 Big Mom are just that.
Yeah.
It's now the deck is just significantly less bricky because you weren't fitting in both like packages. So I think there's a world where that works, especially in this format where we think 2 of the best decks are green, which is green, purple, and Zoro. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people think Bonnie's good. Like, I think Bonnie's going to be really good.
Yeah.
I mean, Rosinante basically and Dofi, they both say, hey, Hody doesn't matter, DMG doesn't matter as much because I'm going to have like 4 Don up because I have double Rosie on board. So that might matter. Who cares? If I don't have Kata, I can live at 0 a decent amount of the time. Zoro's probably an exception because I think restand is like really strong when you don't have a Kata anymore.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like versus Bonnie and GP specifically, I think there's a world that still works and people figure it out. I also think there's a world where like a super control list that's back on Kyros and Mihawk really works. And I also think at its core, like a rush list with 9 Luffy and 8 Luffy, like they intended,
Yeah.
also gets there because you can probably live at 0 life 1 to 2 turns. And so if your turn was like 8 Luffy into 9 Sanji, 9 Luffy, you probably only need to survive 1 more turn after doing that to kill them at that point,
Yeah.
if that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's good. I just haven't tested it. So I don't think it's dead on arrival. And then, actually, mention, I think in the future, like, it's fine. I think at 13, once they get that Roger promo,
Right.
I mean, if your leader's 8K, that's basically the kata anyway,
Yeah,
and
you're
it's like a
cooking.
10K body on board. Like, I don't. Yeah, I think the future leader's good for 12 specifically. I think it's a lot weaker, but like you're still drawing 2. A lot of cards, or rather, a lot of decks can't deal with Sanji Luffy, like either Luffy,
Yeah.
even Sanji. I don't know. I guess Luffy Taro into no target. Like even just 9K body, 8K body. Even if the Luffy Taro doesn't have a target, like
Right.
just the theory of like 2 big bodies at once. Like Shanks folds to that. Still, a lot of other decks like they just can't deal with that because they don't build a board that's meaningful enough to pressure you after you do that, even if you don't have a Kata or a 9 mom. But then other decks, like I think Zoro matchup got way better for Zoro. Not having either
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
them is a huge for Zoro. For GP, it's probably similar. Like not having those two definitely like changes. Like I would probably say GP is probably favored now. But that doesn't mean it's like, oh, 90-10 GP favorite now. It probably went from 55-45, maybe 60-40 UP favor for GP specifically, to now it's like, okay, 65-35 maybe in GP favor, maybe even closer.
Yeah.
And so not super favor for Luffy, but like it's winnable. As long as they don't see like the crazy nuts, you're fine. But I think there's a lot of deck building that's possible now in 12. Like I mean, I mentioned 3 different potential builds. There might be a different build that's just Straw Hat, and they go to because I feel like at the beginning of 12 they were running a Luffy Taro build. Maybe that comes back. Who knows? But the deck for now, like I have a feeling at least one person is going to do really well with it at nationals. And probably at one of the Treasure Cups or regionals before nationals too, and we get an idea of like, oh, Dofi package did work, or
Yep.
turns out going to Mihawk and bottom decking Sanji Puddings no matter what is still pretty good. So we'll see how that goes, but I don't think it's dead. But it's, I mean, dropping from essentially best deck in the format to somewhere in tier 2 is a huge drop.
100%. Yeah, I don't I don't see it being obviously nearly as close to the top as it was in OP11 after these bans. But and speaking of which, I do think it's actually really interesting that Bandai is going with this. What did they word it? They worded it
Pair
as
bans.
pair bans. Yeah, band pairs. That's what it was. And I think that's really interesting. I like that idea a lot because it doesn't get rid of. So, like, for example, I was streaming last night and I was playing Purple Luffy. And I had Katakuri as well as 9 Mom in the deck. And I remember there was a comment in the chat that somebody had brought up. They had said, I thought those cards were banned. And I was like, no, they're only banned in one leader. So I can still use these broken cards
Yeah.
in my Purple Luffy deck, and it's insane. So I think that's really interesting, the route that they're going with that. I like the idea because it does leave space for, we don't have to immediately just resort to completely just annihilating a card in the future. They can just go, we can just get rid of, these and whatnot. But my concern with blue purple is, like I said, I don't think it's going to be as good. But again, there's so many different ways to build it that probably a lot of people haven't even explored yet. So I think that this leader in particular isn't going to be I think it'll be fair in OP12, which is good, right? But going forward, that leader just has so much ability to use any cards that have been added because of how the deck works. Obviously, it wants to see Straw Hat cards and Straw Hat pieces, particularly because that's how the leader works. But as long as you have this core Straw Hat package where you're like, okay, I can search out my Sanjis, my Nami blockers, my Gum Gum Giants, my Gear 2 ramp, my 2K counter Usahachi. As long as I have that core, 25 to 30 cards that are Straw Hat, you got 20 tech choices that you can do. Yep. Basically for any sort of list. I mean, I don't know. I'm concerned about that leader in the future personally, just because it's one of those leaders that it's so generically good that no matter what is added, it will find a way to survive. But at the same time, we're obviously recognizing that there's just so much power creep going into this game now that it's kind of all right, We get it. You know, like maybe some of these leaders that we previously thought were like absolutely insane, like Sakazuki we were talking about, are really kind of level playing field now. So I think that is kind of where they're coming with the ban list, and to me it makes sense. I do think there's a lot of interesting deck lists that are kind of popping up now too, a little bit because of the whole ban list thing. Like you had decks that basically they weren't playable because of blue purple Luffy just dominating the meta, that are able to make a resurgency now. And I love to see that. I mean, I've been able to see a ton of like people trying out and a ton of talk about, you know, decks that maybe were tier 2, maybe even lower in OP11, such as like Yellow Kid. You know, I've been seeing some talk about Purple Black Luffy, as well as like starter deck 14 Luffy, which has been pretty interesting. What was another one? I saw something pretty interesting. Oh, the green blue Zoro Sanji from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was starter deck 12. That one was,
It's
or maybe it's 13. No, 13 was the
it's
brothers. I think it's 12.
12. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
right after Uta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty interesting though. Kind of like seeing some of these deck lists being built. Like I saw a couple posts of like people that were actually doing really well. You know, at some of their like 40-person locals, and like you got to understand, obviously it's locals, so like you got to take that with a grain of salt. But at the same time, like, you know, winning a 40 player event with any deck is still
Yeah.
a pretty impressive feat. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see kind of where this all goes. I obviously still believe that Green Zoro and Rayleigh are going to have their spots at the top because the decks didn't get worse by any means. If anything, they probably had to take out tech choices for certain matchups, or excuse me, one matchup, and now they can basically make their deck more consistent and whatnot. So,
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how deck building for everything goes, because once that's the issue. I think for most people right now, the expected boogeyman is Zoro. So like
yeah.
basically anything is teching for Zoro. Green Purple's running Judgment. Sanji is running Judgment. Teach is running Black Vortex. Lucci is running Black Vortex. Sokka lists that are popping up are running Black Vortex.
Yep.
And so like Bonnie's running 10 cost Dofi again to punish Zoro players that aren't playing around Dofi, because now when there's leaders rested, they don't get that effect. So it's very interesting to see like how it'll progress, because even though everyone is taking for Zoro and Rayleigh, I think that just shows that they are strong. That's what people are expecting to play against. And so I'm curious to see, okay, how do people break the Zoro matchup when it's like bad? Like, for example, I've been playing a lot of Blue Purple Sanji. That matchup's really bad. I learned 1-cost blockers are really good as long as they're active, because they rest one, they can outblock with the chump because they rest like a Reiju or the 3-cost Sanji.
Yep.
And then they have to swing in my life. And as long as one box is stuck and I play a second one, now the matchup's not as bad. So I'm curious to see what concessions other decks make to try to make those matchups better. But I'm also curious to see, can Blue Purple take advantage of no one teching for it anymore?
Yeah.
Because I think even though Blue Purple is significantly weaker, you still have to tech for a 6k leader that's drawing 2 every turn, that has access to Gum Gum Giant. And at the very worst case, like a really bad play at 10 Dawn is like double blocker pass or 3 Dawn up. A lot of decks still can't deal with that.
Yeah.
And so if you're not like anticipating that, I'm curious to see, like, can he abuse? Like, even if I ran into the exact like Doflamingo package Luffy that I'm expecting, can I really do it with that if I didn't tech for it? Probably not. And so that's something that I think a lot of people maybe aren't taking into account either, is that like the deck is not super dead. And if we're all already saying, I'm not teching for it, it's gone, that deck can probably come back and abuse some of that knowledge. Like, I think, for example, Hody was used in Zoro a lot to like get through the wall.
Yep.
Now it is worse because there's no kata, but is there a world that, because we know you're not running Hody, or you're only really running one, and basically your win condition is restand event, can I build around that or abuse that better? But I think it's more relevant like versus the non Zoro and Rayleigh decks. I think because like I think those just naturally beat a UP without these defensive options. But it's like the other like good decks that are somewhat rogue. Like I mean, Lucci's a decent example. GP's another decent example. Bonnie, like I think UP probably still has a lot of play into those decks that Shanks even. Like Bonnie and Shanks are probably like the two best decks that everyone thinks is gonna do better now that UP is gone. But I think UP, like if you're not tech for UPS those decks, like it's so over.
Yeah.
And so if you just run into a UP running the Dofi package as Bonnie, and they have double Rosinante on board, and they always have 7 Don up, I don't think it matters that they're at 0 because they didn't heal. You're just never gonna kill them. Um, so I'm curious to see how that goes. And then also on the topic of like the pair ban, I do like that it's an option. I just hope they don't get to the point where they think, oh, this is only a problem in this deck, only, and so we're only gonna pair ban because we think it's only a problem in this deck. I see a lot of people see like, man, why can't they do this with Moria? I think Moria is a pretty good example as to why I think it's potentially scary to like be like, oh, maybe only Moria should be limited in. Like you can play it in the Perona and Moria. Well, Moria, because it's so generic, can still do a lot of really silly Moria, Rebecca, well, I guess not Rebecca, but Moria, Lucci, Helmeppo stuff. If you can do that as a 5 life leader, why play Lucci? I think that's a lot of things that people miss when they like think about pair bans. And so I'm not saying Purple Luffy will be as good as Blue Purple, but a big reason Purple Luffy didn't run 9 Mom in 11 was because why am I going to play a 9 Mom deck when Blue Purple does this infinitely better?
Yep.
They get to stack their life, they're drawing 2 cards. Like, if I'm going to play a 9 Mom deck, I should just play Blue Purple. Well, now, because Blue Purple's literally can't do it, Purple Luffy is probably going back to running 9 Moms again and not doing 4, yeah, not doing 4 9-cost Luffys. And in OP10, we were beating Dofi, who was really strong aggro deck that went really wide if we saw our 9 Moms. And now we have Kata on top of it.
Yeah.
Is there? I'm not necessarily asking for 9 Mom or Kata to be banned because I think they should exist. But is there a world where the problem of those 2 cards in Blue Purple, not the exact same problem with Purple Luffy? Like if Purple Luffy comes out and it's like, yeah, they kind of don't lose to Rayleigh because they can hold off. They play a Kata, they are good, they set up and then 9 Mom and now they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Zoro, it's kind of similar. They did 1 Kata, they 9 Mom the Cavendish or like a Tashigi, and now they live forever, and eventually they just kill the Zoro.
Yeah.
Is there a world that strategy, which they're like, oh, well, Purple Luffy's like a 3-life leader because you're basically always double ramping. And so it's supposed to be weak in the early game. Well, you're saying that for Blue Purple, which is obviously true. It's supposed to have a weak early game, but because it ramps and it gets to play these crazy defensive cards fast, it actually isn't as big of a weakness. Well, to a certain degree, everything goes for Purple Luffy. It just doesn't draw 2 cards, which does matter.
Yeah.
But I think the same problem that they're saying, like, yeah, this is a problem in Blue Purple. Well, is it not also technically a problem in Purple Luffy? To a lesser degree, because the drawing 2 cards matters.
Right. Yeah.
But at its core, you're a super defensive deck. Like, what deck in the format can really deal with a Purple Luffy playing Kata? Like on turn, I guess it would be turn 4 into 9 Mom. They're your biggest threat, and now they're at like 1 or 2 life, 7, 8 in hand, 1 or 2 Katas, and I mean, what do you do? A lot of decks can't deal with that, and that might be very specific to just like purple decks, right? And like, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I like pair bans because I do think it makes sense in a lot of cases, but I don't think just because we see one leader abusing it a ton doesn't mean only that leader should not be able to run it. I think there are a lot of examples where like, no, maybe the card is too strong, like still. Which I think Moria is like a better example because I'm not really pushing for a Kata or 9 Mom ban, at least not now. But Moria, it's like, well, I see a lot of sentiment like, oh, but come on, pair ban it at this point. It's like, no, dude, like I think Moria is so strong, whatever deck can run it will just be the best black deck, and it is what it is. And so we'll see how pair bans work in the future. I see a lot of the sentiment like, oh, why don't you just pair ban with Nami? Because you're gonna have to pair ban damn near everything they print.
Oh yeah, there's like, too many cards.
If you have to pair ban, if they want to go back to normal draw effects, like the 4-cost Marco or the new Otama, Well, they have to pair ban 1 or 2 cards every set just because Nami exists. If you
Yeah.
have to pair ban 1 or 2 cards every set at the beginning of the set because Nami exists, maybe the leader should have just not exist. uh, so that's my thoughts on like deck building and how the pair ban. I like it as an option. I think they'll have the wherewithal to be like, oh, this is just like a Moria situation. If we leave this deck will just abuse it. I
Yeah.
think Purple Luffy's gonna abuse 9 mom and 8 drop, but like I also think other purple decks like really need it. And that's the thing too. They could also just be like, oh, you know what? Purple Luffy abuses this a lot too. But how Pudding or what's another purple deck? I guess
Katakuri.
generic.
I think the
Yeah, like Katakuri. Like
yeah.
Katakuri doesn't abuse it as bad because they don't have
Oh.
or a giant, you know.
Oh, that sounded so bad. You cut off, and it sounded like you cursed or something. It said, what does it say? They don't have what?
They don't have a draw engine.
Oh, a draw engine. Okay.
Yeah. So like,
I was
or
like,
giant.
oh my god.
So
it sounded like you had an explicit for a second.
Well, I did not, but yeah, it's okay.
No, that was funny though. That was funny. It was just the perfect timing.
Yeah.
It was a perfect timing.
I'm gonna have to rewatch this later.
Yeah.
Let me see how it looked.
No, I think
I
don't think they just wanted to kill, Katakuri leader like right off the get-go because they were thinking, oh, okay, like we obviously get it. This card was a little busted in blue purple, but if we get rid of this, then it bans a leader that was just put into the game basically and just gets rid of them. So I would imagine that was part of, if not a good portion of the concept of getting rid of the cards. And it just happened to be that those cards were very impactful for that leader as well. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from with the concern of, even if it's really broken in one, wouldn't it make sense that it could be abused in another? I think the big thing is that, it's tough. It's tough, but like a lot of these boss monster cards, if you will, like the top end big cards, they're the ones that tend to be the issue, right? Or it's the leader that's abusing them, right? So if we think about it that way, what was the biggest issue with a lot of these cards? What does it boil down to? The big thing that it boils down to is that they're not leader locked. They're not locked to anything. They're just generically good, right? And I'm not against having like a generically good top end card, but I mean, could you imagine a world where 10 cost teach wasn't like locked to 10 cost teach?
I now want to live in that world. That's for sure.
That's crazy, right? Like, so there are some things that you have to leader lock them, you can't just have everything be generically good and playable in every deck. So I think that that's something that they could have done with Gecko Moria that would have solved the issue immediately. They could have done that with the maybe like the 8-cost Katakuri or something like that. Like 8-cost Katakuri could be like an 8-cost AK that still ramps a Dawn at the end of turn or something like that, but give this character blocker if your leader is a Big Mom Pirates or something like that, or if your leader's name is Katakuri or something, so that would just make, you could do simple stuff like that. And that's just an example. I didn't flesh out that idea. I'm just saying, like, just something to think about, because going forward, with the power creep, if you just have generically good cards, I mean, it's going to be literally just free for all. Everybody's going to be using it. Some of these leaders are getting really crazy, and because of what we're seeing now with the ban list and kind of like confusion on what we expect to be the top deck, or maybe not so much the top deck, but like, what are the best choices to take to a 1,000 player event, like the Treasure Cup coming up, the LCQ. I feel like a lot of people are exploring some of these options that they were like, I never really thought about including this card in there before because it was really bad into this. And now including this card makes a lot of sense for me, and it starts to make the deck feel a lot better. So interested to see where people come up with, their deck lists for this event on the 30th, because I personally am trying to practice for the LCQ. I hope that I can get in off the wait list for this event on the 30th, because I really do want to participate and I want to play, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to play yet or what it is that I'll be running. So I'm a little nervous on that that count, because I think if I wanted to play safe, I think I would probably go Purple Luffy, because it's a deck that I understand really well, and I think that it basically adding the 9 moms back puts it in a position to where I knew how to play that list extremely well, and then now we just have Katakuris added, which is phenomenal, right? So I'm like leaning towards that, but I also love Green Purple Luffy. I love the spot that it's in. But the tough part about Green Purple Luffy for me is that I feel like I have to know my matchups extremely well. And with all of the decks just changing how they're being built and adding new cards, exchanging this for that, then having all these new matchups coming in, like Kuzan, Rayleigh, Zoro, September 5th, we're going to be seeing the new starter deck. Well, that wouldn't be relevant for the tournament on the 30th, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's actually, it's tough. Like, those are two decks that I definitely thought about playing. I considered playing Green Zoro as well, because no offense to any Green Zoro lovers out there, but the deck is like super straightforward. But it's funny because I say that, and then last night I was making so many mistakes because I kept forgetting. Like, it's just, that's the one thing, is you got to have the reps. Like, you got to have like at least 25, 50 games with the deck, and then you'll be like, all right, got it. Like, I don't need to play this anymore. I got it understood. But I kept forgetting that my opponents, let's say at like 1 life or something, I had the 3-cost event in hand, and I could just swing leader, restand, swing leader again, and when they block, I get to restand because I did battle. So I kept forgetting that. And so I'm attacking, like, I'm like, oh man, this sucks. I don't have enough to go for lethal. Like, I have to go for their board, and then I get to attack, but then I get to restand, but he's got a blocker. And I just keep forgetting, like, oh yeah, if they have a blocker, it doesn't matter. That means I get to do a battle. So, it's silly stuff like that makes that made that deck, like, quote unquote, difficult for me for a second. But those were just the learning, pangs of any deck. You just go through the throes of learning, the in and outs of like these small little intricacies of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. And I kind of wanted to like talk about, like, what do you think are going to be the top? Let's go with just top 5 for now. But like, what do you think are going to be the top 5 deck lists for the OP12 meta post ban list?
I think I would be really shocked if these weren't consistently up there for like all the events we have this month, including store regionals. It's probably in no particular order. It's Zoro, Green, Purple. Zoro, Green, Purple. Yeah, Zoro, Green, Purple, Bonnie, Purple Luffy, and probably still Rayleigh. And then, like, I think those are the ones that, like, just out of the gate, the easiest to, like, pick up. You don't have to crack a deck list like Sokka. I think those are, like, the 5 most played while also being good. But then I think Teach, Lucci, Sokka, Shanks. I think Blue Purple Sanji's real. I think Kuzan's real. But, like, those 5 specifically, which is, like, 3 green decks. I think green is really good this format. But that gives, potential for the removal decks to come in. Oh, Red Green Smoker. How did I forget about that? I think no one's talking about Red Green Smoker. I think Red Green Smoker not losing Hody is huge. I think it would have been fine without Hody, but not losing Hody is huge. I think I'd probably put Red Green Smoker over, honestly, probably over Rayleigh. I think Rayleigh's really strong, but at its core, he is the most techable for, because the highest cost in his deck can be 4. You know exactly what every card does, because they can't really deviate that much, because that's such a, like, well-oiled machine that has literally 20 searchers. You know
Yeah.
what everything can pick up. You know damn near every event they run. They have they have at least 4 rushers. They have 1 go wide card, but they're all 4 or less. And there's a lot of things in this game that can rest or deal with 4 or less, like very easily.
Yeah.
If like we're not expecting much teach because Zoro and GP are all over, well that means Lucci and Sokka can come in, and those you don't even have to say much. Yeah, they probably destroy Rayleigh and Rayleigh cries. But then you get to Bonnie and you get to Zoro and GP. Well, they have tech options for Rayleigh too. Like the 4-cost Zoro, simply Bonnie effect plus carrot is a thing. So there's a lot of things that I think Rayleigh can be tech for. I still don't think he's like gonna be bad, but I actually think because of how much he can be tech for easily, I'd probably bump him to like 6, and I'd probably put in Red Green Smoker somewhere in that top 5.
Okay. Yeah, I was. I think I was somewhere similar to that. My thought process was, and I know this might sound a little crazy, okay, but I personally would go with Green Zoro. I would go with Purple Luffy, Green Purple Luffy, Teach. I know that might sound a little crazy.
That's fine with me. I think that deck is ridiculous.
Yeah, I obviously don't think that the Green Zoro matchup is amazing by any means, but they have those 1-cost blockers that can be put in there. They have once we start getting to the 10-cost range, and being able to not, you don't even got a tech for Black Vortex, bro. You could just add Black Vortex like that. That's for the deck.
Yeah,
it's for the deck. You know what I mean? So I think that Teach is very not kind of like you were saying with Red Green Smoker, not being talked about enough. I think that deck has a really good spot, but Teach is also a deck that in my opinion, I think does require a lot of matchup knowledge. It requires, a lot of matchup knowledge, and it also requires quite a bit of understanding what to trash, when to trash it. So there's some skill involved in that, and I think that deck definitely would be up there as well. I think other than that, I would say, in my opinion, it's a toss-up for me between Sokka and Rayleigh, but the reason why I lean to more towards Rayleigh, even though Sokka absolutely blows that deck out of the water, is that Sokka is not a deck that any single person can just pick up and be good at. And I'm not saying that Rayleigh is, but it at least the skill ceiling for that is much lower. Sakazuki can go, God, that it doesn't feel like it has a ceiling sometimes. It just keeps going sometimes. But yeah, Rayleigh is, like, in my opinion, a more probably easy to build for a lot of people, and that's a big factor you got to think about as well, is like new cards. So older players, or it should be newer players, would have to get their hands on all the old Sokka cards, like all the Rebekahs, all the Hinas, starter deck cards, old sets, everything. Like, there's just so much that goes into that you're like, you know what, I'm not even gonna try building that. That's gonna take forever. So instead, we'll just go the route of, hey, okay, let's do something easy and cheap, kind of like Bello Betty was really easy to build. Teach was really easy to build. These are very cheap decks. Rayleigh, very easy to build. I don't think there's really much expensive in that deck, is there? Now I think about that.
Really, it's really just, well, actually, Kid and Killer is like insane.
Oh yeah, Kid and Killer is like $15. That's right.
Like, aside from, like, and Buggies are like 5, but like,
are they really the 1-cost?
Yeah, Buggies. Yeah, I sold the playset of regular. I got my SPs for like 60 back when whenever set they came out for it, and now the SP is like 140.
What?
Regular Buggies are like $5-6, even though he's getting reprinted in PRB.
Oh, I gotta judge. I gotta judge one of those around here.
Yeah, those are like 7 or 8. It's crazy.
What?
I mean, the market is crazy. I mean, Cavendishes right now are still like $60, even though we know they're getting reprinted in PRB.
Oh, I know.
It's because Zoro's so popular and Nats is coming.
Yep.
But yeah, like Rayleigh's pretty cheap. aside from Kid and Killer. But like, if you knew 2 weeks ago I want to build Rayleigh, you could have got Kid and Killer for like $5, and you
Yeah,
could have got buggies for cents. It really just spiked recently. So like, I say this all the time. Especially in English, because like Europe doesn't really have this problem. Like if you look at the card market prices, they're actually all reasonable.
yeah.
But the English TCG player market, I think, is terrible because no one looks for it at all. No, the prices don't spike until pre-release starts. And it's like, guys, we've known about these decks for 4 months.
Yeah.
Like the second OP, what's a good example? We needed, I mean, God, now I'm blanking.
Oh, Paradise
Yeah, I
Waterfall
mean,
was like an idea for Green Zoro, and I
yeah,
saw those went like, pew, you know.
yeah, those
Yeah.
skyrocketed, and it's just like, we knew about this stuff.
Yeah, I
Like,
knew about that
I mean, the
forever.
biggest example is Cavendish when he first came out with Bonnie. We knew in EB, Bonnie. We already knew Bonnie was a leader. That was a supernova, and Cavendish was about to come out.
Mm.
No one bought Cavendish during EB. A month or two later, Seven comes, and now Cavendish is a $30 SR.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's like the beginning of the end of like people not looking forward. Laboon was 50 cents. You want to tell me you didn't think Laboon would ever potentially be playable?
See,
And then
that's
he became like 40, $50 eventually. I think a lot of people just don't, and I'm not saying like everyone has the money to spend $5 or like 10 to 20, even like on a $5 SR like Mihawk right now.
yeah, yeah.
Mihawk is only 5. I'm not saying everyone has $20 to spare just to potentially prepare themselves in the future.
Yeah.
But if you do, you are doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Not getting these like extremely staple cards.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Green Mihawk is here to stay. Paying $20 is probably fine. Because 3 sets from now, because let's say Green is not played much in 13 and 14 for whatever reason, and now 15, amazing leader that it's going to abuse Mihawk is back. Well, Mihawk hasn't been printed in 6-7 months. It's a $20 SR now.
Oh,
and
it's
going to
be more than that.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, Buggy, you could have got a playset for Buggy for $1.
Yep.
Now it's 20 unless you wait for PRB, which is fair, but it means
Yeah.
you're not playing Rayleigh right now.
Or Green Zoro. Or no, Rayleigh, yeah, because Buggy, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right. And like, so, I mean, I've been lucky enough that every set that comes out, I get a play set of all the cards. I get, whether it's commons, uncommons, rares, super rares, secrets, everything. I get a play set of everything, low rarity, because I know that no matter what, if I want to build a deck, I can. And I mean, the nice thing about that is that, this is something I did this set. I actually only bought 1 box of OP12 this set. I didn't buy any more. I just wanted 1 box to open and just enjoy the opening. And then I actually just went ahead and bought a playset of all the cards off of people that had either bought cases or, somebody that had multiple cases. Like I knew somebody that had like 14 cases that they were ripping. And I was able to get, playset of the secrets off of them. And then a friend of mine opened up a case and I got the playset of the commons, uncommons, rares, and super rares off them. So, it cost me the price of 2.5 boxes for a full playset. So if you're trying to really save on money, that's something to consider, is maybe just go that route. And because the pre-release prices are always insane. People are trying to get like $10, $15 for like the most bum super rares in the set. It's like, no. I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'll wait till a week later when they're like $2. Thanks, I appreciate it. So me paying those prices, I probably overpaid for the stuff that I got, but it's just that I wanted to have them immediately. But still, it's a very reasonable price to get all the stuff. Yeah, and the market's actually been so much better, but I still think that there's always this FOMO towards the beginning of every set. We have this every pre-release and like those pre-sale prices that go up on TCG Player. Everyone's like freaking out trying to get themselves the stuff, and then literally 2 weeks later, if not a week later, everything is like plummeted in prices. Yeah, I mean, like the first day after pre-sale, like all of the stuff dropped from what was it? I was looking at the Zoro leader was like 180 or something.
Yeah, and now he's like 70.
He's like not even, dude. I think he's like
Yeah,
55 or 60.
yeah, he might have. Yeah, like he might have already gone down even more. Like
Yeah.
saying, like
There's so
I
much.
mean,
There's
a lot of
reprint
like,
is crazy. There's
yeah,
so
you
much more
just have to
product. Yeah.
you just have to wait.
That's
Like,
it.
and it's hard.
Yeah.
And I bought cards during pre-sale because I'm like, I know I'll pay you $20 for this card, and it'll be $10 next week.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with 20. But I'm not paying you 50 like it is
Yeah.
on TCG player.
Yep.
But yeah, like I mean, we do a thing in our local Discord where we make it to where people cannot post for sale until pre-sale is off of TCG because we didn't want new people to just like think, oh, these prices are what I gotta pay. It's like, no, like, yes, Mihawk is probably the best SR in the set. He's not gonna be a $15 SR, at least at the beginning
Yeah.
and in the middle of this set. Like, so we make a rule like you cannot post new cards from the new set for sale until release day, and it helps a little bit. And then we also make it like if you really want to post that you're buying X or Y card and you're understanding the risk of like buying in pre-sale, but it's the market is crazy. Sometimes I wish I lived in Europe because stuff is so cheap over there.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously cheap. Like sometimes even I'm surprised by it. But then to a certain degree, there's a lot of stuff in our market that's like a lot cheaper than I would expect. But it also makes sense. Like Lim SP, I think is already sub 30 or something like that. Makes sense. It's a good card, but no one wants Lim SP.
Yeah.
Same with Yasop SP. Yasop SP is like $40 already, and it's like yeah, like no one wants Yasop SP. It's not a staple, whatever. But to a certain degree, even like super staple cards, like Kuzan SP and Zorojuro SP. Zorojuro SP is already like $80.
Yep.
Kuzan SP is already sub like 45, 40. That blows my mind. I cannot believe they're that cheap. I'm not complaining. I'm gonna get them hopefully sooner than later. I mean, technically I have 4 Zorojuro SPs, but I decided not to upgrade, so I'm gonna sell the 2 that I have.
Yeah.
But like I want my 4 Yasop SPs. I am getting them because they're cheap.
Okay.
And it's not a bad thing. But and then for like base rarity, I think the most expensive SR is Mihawk, and it's like $5. After that, it's like Perona, that's 4.
Yeah. But
I think after that, everything's like $2.
I just checked the Mihawk is actually still sitting pretty strong at 8. It's at around
so it went back
$8.
up.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like, man, dude, like it's crazy. It's crazy to look at some of the prices of how far, some things have fallen. Like, so I mean, I hope it's a lesson learned for everybody by now, that because I've been seeing this now since God, what, like OP, I think it was probably like OP08 that this all really started, because like the printing started to get very good and they were printing a lot. And like it might not look as though, your local store is getting, all the boxes, because they're not. But
everywhere else is getting a ton more.
Yeah, everywhere is getting a bunch, and there's even new stores now that are popping up that they're getting some. So there's more boxes out in there, out in the wild. And like, for example, I think it was literally last night. So all the stores here, at least, are able to and start selling boxes on pre-release, which was last Friday, right? So you would think like normally in previous sets, like everything was sold out and gone. Boom, Friday, everything's gone. You can't find it anywhere, right? But yesterday, I got like a message in my little Facebook group that I'm in that was like, oh, this location has boxes still. And I'm like, what? That's so crazy. Like a week later, normally One Piece was like everything was sold out within like a day or two, and shoot, normally within like hours of opening, like every store that opened, it was just gone. But now there's like a little bit more, and that's just because there's a lot of it. There's more of it out there, which is good. I'm super happy about that, because I tell you what, man, paying some of the prices in the past was crazy.
Definitely taking some L's, but some of them I understand. I'm like, I know this is going down, but and it's okay.
Yeah. I think right now, I think the one thing that's just surprising me the most is seeing how low that the really special gold and silver Marshall D Teaches have dropped. Obviously, I know it's not Luffy. Like Luffy in the previous set, that's going to be the big one. But I think that those are now the true manga hits, if you will, right? Like they're not obviously mangas, but those are like the true manga hits now because they're the prices of what mangas used to be in the first original couple of sets. And now, and then Bonnie's now kind of like dropped into it like its own tier. So, I don't. Is there like a name for these? Because I know they're just called SPs, but they're denoted as SPs. But like, is there like a token for these? Because I know that the previous ones in OP11 were called like the Kaleidoscope or whatever, like the Kaleidoscope Luffy's. But
I think it is just like SP. Super, I think it's weird. Normal SPs for us, I think, is like something like special print. But I think for like these
yeah, it's
teachers
special
of
or
Luffy's,
short. It's one of the two.
and then technically mangas too is like it's still just a super parallel. But we call it gold and silver because that's like kind of what it is.
Yep.
And yeah, speaking of I personally am going to be looking for a silver and a gold Shanks in 13, which I'm not looking forward to because they just decided to add every single goddamn hit you could want in 13. Like, oh, I wish Shanks was this set or the next set, but now we know for sure Buggy's going to be in 14, and 14's rumored to be Warlords again, so it makes sense, I guess. But I'm not looking forward to the Shanks prices. I'm not going to get them immediately. But I know that that's what I'm going to be working for, like all of 2026. It's like to eventually get one silver, one gold shank. And I'm not looking forward to it because it has to be in an anniversary set, and not only just a anniversary set, an anniversary set that did special print of the elders, special print shanks, 3 mangas. Each manga has a special fire print. They hate me. And then wanted cards and regular SPs, like. God.
Yeah,
my wallet is so cooked for 13.
Dude, it's brutal. But that's the thing is, you know what? I've reached this point of zen where I've now realized like I'm not gonna be broke buying all of these alt arts and stuff because I'm just not buying all the alt arts at all. And the reason why is because I'm going to Japan and I gotta prioritize that.
Yeah, I wish I could say that I could let go. I used to be a min rarity Andy for 3 sets.
That's gonna be me now.
And then it all changed when I did max rarity blue yellow queen of all things. And then I'm like, damn, it's kind of cool to play with pretty cards. And then I don't think I ever took that tournament or that deck to a big tournament because I very quickly learned that it's not it when you're running into Zoros and Laws.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, I was like, I like playing with pretty cards, and I like building any deck possible, or the ability to build any deck. So I guess I have to have a alt-art playset of almost everything, and my wallet hates me, but it feels really cool to play.
Yeah. Well, man, I tell you what, this ban list is like it's so tough to wrap my head around like what is going to be coming out on top for this because I really do feel as though they did a great job making this very balanced meta. I do think that again, it's just going to be a lot of teching around probably Green Zoro just because if there's one thing that I have learned playing this game, it's 2 things. One, whatever the best deck in the meta is, right? People like playing it. 2, whatever the easiest good deck in the meta is, people like playing it. And that is Green Zoro, right? So, and if it happens to be both of those things, it's going to be a lot of Green Zoro. Yeah. So, I think that, teching around that deck could definitely be, that's going to be what it comes down to. And I obviously I've played Green Zoro a little bit and I've gotten beat by decks in games and matches that I shouldn't have lost, but I've only played less than 10 games. So it's not like there isn't some sort of, thought process that has to go there, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's mostly Unga Boonga, play card attached on, swing, restand, swing. Like that's about that's the nitty gritty of it. So it's a fun leader though. I'll say that. But I'm pretty stoked to see where that goes. I personally would like to see Sakazuki, and I know this sounds kind of weird. I personally would like to see Sakazuki do well because I do remember how skillful that deck is and how it can be, and what the matchups are going to look like. Some of these mirrors are going to be very interesting. What leaders are going to have to play through some, in my opinion, pretty god awful trash mirrors. Have fun with that, guys. God bless. Uh, but I don't know. Me personally, I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out on the 30th. I do think that we have a couple of non-Bandai official events happening. Like I actually wonder. Let me double check very quickly. I think that Eggman just finished. I think they had deck list, or did he have a tournament the other day? Or maybe it was. Oh shoot! Actually, I think it was a Gundam tournament. I'm not sure what it was. I'll have to look into it, but I know there's a couple of tournaments coming up. Like there's I saw, God, what was it? PPG has one, I believe tomorrow actually. So PPG has a case tournament that's going to be for the post ban list. I'm definitely going to be interested in watching that. I wonder, I actually kind of want to talk to them at some point and see if there's maybe something that can be worked out where they wouldn't mind if I streamed some of the matches, or like if I can get permission to maybe just go into like table one and have some of that, because I think it would be really interesting because they always are, because they do like a case tournament every weekend.
Do it a lot.
Yeah, they do.
There's no content from it. It's crazy.
Exactly. I'm like, no stream or nothing. But I mean, like, I get it. It's just, I think like I would be super open to doing something like that. And so I wonder. I've met the owner of PPG once, and I know some of their head judges, but I gotta maybe message them and talk about that, because I think it would be really cool to be seeing what is going on with that event in particular. Yeah, but man, before we even get into after we've kind of discussed some of this ban list stuff, the thing that we really kind of got to talk about though is we got nationals coming up, right? LCQ's right around the corner for the players that need to make it into the finals, and for the people that are in the finals, they're all planning for this event, and it's going to take a lot of play testing, a lot of stuff going on. But before then, obviously having the event on the 30th, there might actually be another event, I think in Latin America, but I could be wrong. And then we have Starter Deck 22 coming out in September 5th. Have you tried any of the Starter Deck at all?
So I haven't really looked into that Starter Deck much, aside from knowing that there are cards that help Nami, which is really the Odin, the restand Odin. You're
talking about blue yellow Nami.
Yes, blue yellow Nami.
I was like, you're still thinking about blue Nami.
Blue yellow Nami gets helped because the Odin is like unremovable, and it's a double swinger.
Yeah.
Or like a restand or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And so I know that's like pretty relevant, and that helps Nami a lot. And so that'll matter for Nats specifically. Because technically, I think it won't matter, because I think Orlando and Toronto have events the 6th. I doubt that's legal already. Next day.
Yeah, it's normally always a week.
So really, it's only Nats, but that's good because like everyone in Japan is like, Blue Nami's pretty good, and Odin helps a lot, both for blue, purple, and just in general, because Odin's basically an unremovable 8K that's swinging twice.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like I don't know if the leader itself.
Oh.
I know Vampire's like going crazy.
Your mic did it again. It cut out for a second.
Did it cut out?
Yeah, you said you don't know if the leader is...
I don't know if the leader itself is going to do anything.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I've seen some of the stuff, like Vampire showed me, like, what the leader can do. I'm like, okay. I mean, I see it. Like, I see the vision.
Yeah.
But is that necessarily good versus, like, a green-purple meta or whatever? But I do think the Odin is super relevant for Nami specifically. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, technically any mono blue deck, like, there's a world Kuzan can make it work probably. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I think bringing Nami up does matter, and it's relevant because people like playing Nami a lot.
Yeah.
And so having a really good threat now in that deck matters. But I think that's basically all we should expect, at least initially in Nats. Like, I don't know how crazy people are going to get testing the leader or testing other blue decks with that package potentially. But Nami getting Odin finally, because Japan always has Odin in that list. I think
Yeah.
matters a ton. And so I'm curious to see if Nami's super popular because of that, or how good it actually, or more specifically, how bad it feels to play against the Odin when you
Mhm.
can't really remove it, and they're just like, I'm gonna swing twice at you for like a lot. Good luck.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
but I
played.
haven't really looked into everything.
Yeah, I played against a deck of it last night, right? And I believe the guy ended up popping up over in the stream, and he was asking, he was like, was there maybe something I could have done differently? And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I think I just kind of like I didn't know what his deck did, so I was like, I feel like I kind of lucked into that win. Like it was a very awkward win for me, but it I think it really boiled down to he just had a lot of dead cards in hand at the end, and I was able to go for it in kind of a lucky fashion. And he was telling me, he was like, yeah, I have like a problem with having a lot of dead cards towards the end of the game. And I was like, yeah, let me take a look at the deck list. Looked at the list and everything, and it was basically no card cycle. Like I think that that's what made that deck not feel so good to me. But I was looking at it and I was like, wow, a lot of these cards have really good effects. They work extremely well in tandem with the leader effect, which is, in my opinion, the leader effect is perfect. It doesn't really have a problem. You're doing the card cycle, but it doesn't give you the opportunity to put the card on the bottom of the deck either. It has to go back on top. So it's either you get to use that for your leader effect or one of your other card effects or something like that, or you basically just don't use it at all. And so, I mean, I I personally don't find a problem with the deck at all, but I don't think it's great. I think it's like
Yeah.
it's okay. Does it have anything that it could maybe get in the future that could maybe make it better? Like I was just thinking, like if it had like the 5 cost Nami where you're able to draw 3 and then put 2 back to the top or bottom, I think that would be a huge thing for that deck. But I believe Nami only works in multicolored
Yeah.
leaders.
She's
Yeah,
multicolor locked.
yeah. So, but since it doesn't have that, I was like, man, what's the best thing you can do? And I was looking at it, and I ended up finding there was this random card from OP08. I think it's called. Don't quote me on this, but I think it's called like ne- Nimul or
Oh, and the
Nimula.
mule. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Nimule. It's one of the fishmen whitebeards.
Yeah. Hmm.
And the card I think allows you to do a draw 2, place 2 to the bottom of the deck. I think
Yeah,
it was
something
either
like
it
that.
was either bottom or maybe bottom or top, but it was something though. It was something to be able to cycle out some of the dead cards, and it was a blocker, and I think that's pretty important. So I was like, oh yeah, you could just put this in the deck, and then it's a 1K counter at the worst, and then you can since it's a Whitebeard type, you can add it to the top of your deck, play it off of your 5 cost ace that allows you to check the top for a 4 cost or less Whitebeard and play it out. So I think the deck has some good capabilities. It's just it doesn't have the meat and potatoes that some of the leaders in OP13 have, that are like just straight out the gate they've got everything they need to have the deck built. It's like literally all the purple cards in OP13 are just all Roger Pirates. Like just everything. Just all Roger Pirates. Everything black in
You don't need to ramp.
OP13 emu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. They just have. I mean, yeah. I was surprised at how much support they gave Roger.
Oh, it's
They,
insane. Yeah.
dude, I mean, I'm not complaining, and I think to a certain degree they did it like the right way, because a lot of it is just very generic, like ramp card. But you had like it's not generic enough that every deck that isn't Roger will play it.
Yeah.
But they basically just like, I'm going to ramp. I will get to 10.
Yeah.
Figure out the game plan after that.
Yeah. I don't hate it, but it just makes me wonder. I really liked the idea of what they were doing in the past with, every set was not just all one archetype essentially. It was like all of the colors were getting so many random archetypes, right? And I know at the time it was kind of frustrating because we were like, oh, how do I build green like consistently at all? Like you can't. They had like 47 different archetypes and none of them
Yeah.
worked together, for the longest time. And now they're like actually adding Straw Hats to green, so it's like becoming, oh shoot, green is playable. But if you have all of those random archetypes, like, and you continue down that path, eventually you're just gonna have like a bunch of different useful, really cool cards. But I think that with the block system, at least this is just the way I'm thinking, is that they're realizing like, if we keep doing that, then we're not going to have any of this archetype eventually. So like that's another really good point, is that Blue Nami, with it being banned, and there's a promo Nami coming out that is block 4. So that means that immediately on April, it's playable, right? But are we going to have East Blue cards by then? And if not, do you know how many of the current 30 are going to be like gone? You just can't play them anymore because they're going to be gone in April. So I'm thinking that Nami's probably not even going to be you can't even play that leader for probably
not a bad thing.
Well, I mean, not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all.
I'm not complaining, but you're right. Like,
yeah.
Nami is basically unplayable in standard
for probably like a year or year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try,
Yeah.
Good riddance. Good riddance. Then everyone knows it's fine. Like, I've beaten the deck. I learned how to beat it. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's a math deck. Yeah, it's a math deck. They see the nuts, and I literally, my math doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you trigger draw 2 like two or three times, it's like
it just doesn't matter. Or if you see the right order of like your defensive card, it like feel like no one wants to like admit that like technically Nami with the nuts is like unbeatable because like in theory Nami with the nuts is 5 draw 2 triggers and you have the right counter event at every time. So so like how do you beat that? Well, you can't, but no one ever wants to like admit that Nami can like beat good math for some reason. But like it's fine. Like I've beaten Nami players, like I've beaten a couple other people, but like I don't know. I'm glad that leader is gone.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it's gone.
So I'm not gonna make a big thing about it here, but because we'll talk about it afterwards. But I think I might have figured out your mic issue. I think it might be a noise level. I think that's what it was. Is maybe it got too high. I don't know. We'll see, because it just did it again. I was like, oh, what? Yeah, but I got what you were saying, because it wasn't. It wasn't like I knew what you were saying, and I think I actually knew the exact word that was cut off as well. But yeah, I mean, like getting into like as we were just talking about though, like with Roger kind of having every bit of support ever, Emu getting all the support like all in one package and everything, like just talking about some of these OP13 leaders, like I know it's a little ahead, like we're very excited about the ban list and everything, but some of these are ridiculously cool. Like in my opinion, the OP13 leaders, I don't see a bad leader out of every one of them. Like I don't think there's any leader out of all of them that is unplayable. Now I haven't seen a lot about Yellow Bonnie, so that's like the one that I don't know too much about. But as far as, I mean, like Red Green Luffy's ability to me seems busted. Like,
I think that shit is so under
it is
talked about.
Crazy.
2K for 0 cards in hand.
Yeah.
When everything in your deck is restanding Dawn.
Bro,
like there's just no way that this is not good.
I think you can do it like unlimited amount of times. Am I mistaken?
As long as you can't have more than 5 active Dawn.
That's it. Okay, so
essentially,
that's the thing.
So you're limited to free 10K.
10K every turn. Oh no.
It's
so silly.
Everything is restanding too, and so like in the mid game when you don't care about defense, you just get to like, oh, I'm gonna play a 4-drop and swing 7, just like Bonnie does when she plays a 4-drop trigger.
Yeah.
And then late game, it's like, oh, I can play like this one body for essentially 2 Dawn, swing with the other 3. Almost everything in that deck is like a 6 or 7 anyway, so you're already swinging good math.
Yeah.
And then I'll have 5 Dawn up or like 3 Dawn up, and I have 3 free 2K.
I got 6K.
And I'm still like 2 life, by the way. Like, I don't know how that deck is not getting any hype at all. Like I feel like we all kind of learned how good like essentially hand neutral or free counter is thanks to Giant.
Yeah.
And this is literally that.
Yeah.
Like I get the argument like, okay, eventually you're not going to pressure as much because you're holding Dawn up, but I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Because I'm not going to die. So like
Yeah.
I'll do another turn. Like I don't gotta kill you now. I'll just live again and then kill you.
You know what? You know what was something funny that I thought about was, it seems like a deck you can build a board with. You know, you could build a decent board with. You could protect it because you just have all this Dawn, and you have your counter in hand and everything, right? And then you have that 10 cost. Oh God, what
Thanks.
Shanks? Yes, the 10 cost Shanks. So the 10 cost Shanks literally just restands 10 Dawn, right? So you just attach 5 to your characters and your leader, and you swing out everything, and then you just leave 5 up for like all kinds of. Oh shoot! Oh my God, this is embarrassing. I have an alarm that's going off. I'm sorry, guys.
You're good. It's all good. But yeah, like
Well, that's never happened in podcast history, but that's because we normally don't record this early, but that's fine. But yeah, you could still have like 5 ton up for 10k
yeah.
counter, and you get to play a 10 cost character and swing out with every. I mean, like, it's absurd. It's absurd. That deck to me seems absolutely nuts on paper. And then like red blue ace also seems crazy.
It
Like,
seems really good.
yeah.
Drawing a ton of cards, your 6K lead,
Yeah.
like all the support is so good. You have like 7 rushers that are all good.
I know.
Like every leader, I mean yeah, like as you mentioned, Bonnie seems like the one that's least talked about and least like
Yeah.
hyped up. But in theory, she's like a really strong aggressive deck because you're playing these like trigger bodies that can also be in your life, and you're swinging 7 bare minimum every turn. And then you do have finishers like the 9 cost Bonnie, whatever. I think the only issue with Bonnie is that 9 cost Bonnie specifically was everything Vegapunk could have ever wanted.
Yeah.
And so now I think Vegapunk is just crazy.
Yeah.
But like I think Stussy, like the 7 cost Stussy is a strong card in either deck.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Bonnie just has that like issue that Vegapunk is essentially an aggro deck most of the ways. And he's probably better at that than Bonnie, even though Bonnie does seem like she wouldn't be weak.
Yeah.
But I mean, 13 looks really fun too. It feels like the first set where it seems like all the new leaders are going to be good, and then a couple old leaders, like I think Vegapunk gets a lot better. Obviously, I think GP is still going to be good. I think Zoro's still going to be good. I think Rayleigh's probably still going to be good.
Yeah.
And so, like, the next like 6 months of One Piece just seem like we're going to be doing really, really well and really good in.
100%. And honestly, now that you bring that up, actually, Vegapunk is something that I kind of wanted to talk about. I'm trying to think. I want to say there was like a vanilla card, or maybe it's OP13. Was there like a vanilla card that was a 5/7 that was added in?
Oh, I think it's a vanilla Shaka. My friend was telling me about that.
Yeah, where is it? I'm trying to find. No, it's not Shaka, but it is. I just know that there was a vanilla like 5/7 that was added somewhere, and I'm not seeing it. I was gonna bring this up because maybe it's just not. Maybe I'm just crazy and it's not a thing. I don't know. I thought I saw some vanilla card, but it was like that was something I thought about was like with Vegapunk was it has all of these amazing like 4 cost 5 costs, you know, that can be played out using its leader effect. And it was like, dude, if you get that one stat line though, you get the 5/7, dude, you are cooking, you know? Because I think the only vanilla it has at the moment is the Vega Force 1. Yeah, if I'm looking at it correctly, it's just a 4/6. But man, 5/7 is just like that stat line's so perfect because you have if you're going up against a 6K leader, 1 Dawn attached, 8K, you know, or you're going up against a 5K leader, 7, boom. Just like it's just so easy. So I egghead archetype, or excuse me, yeah, egghead archetype like characters and stuff like that really scare me for the future of this game. Like,
Yeah,
there
I
are some really good cards in there, bro.
And then we get a starter deck too. Like I think Vegapunk. I've said this. I mean, at this point, I think Kata. I mean, Kata's rotating anyway, so like it doesn't really matter. But I remember when Vegapunk was announced,
Mm.
all of these leaders. I mean, Vegapunk is obviously more type restricted, but like all of these leaders, essentially at its core, if there's a generic yellow piece and they get 2 or 3 of them, I am terrified of how strong these decks become. And Vegapunk is probably like the culmination of that because it's a yellow leader that can always heal randomly. It can heal the event, which is like I'm going to heal, trigger, play a blocker from trash, which is like nuts. Potentially two, because I believe you could play the Vegapunk from trash too. So like that terrifies me. And then they gave it reject plus a rusher in one, for some reason.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like I don't want to live in a world where Vegapunk is meta. I think we will because I think like I just don't see how it's not good
Yeah.
in 13. But and then the starter deck terrifies me. And like Bonnie, she may not be as good as Vegapunk, but at its core, she's going to be a trigger heavy deck that's
Yeah.
probably playing all these trigger bodies. And it's like this just reminds me of old Kata in OP5
Yeah.
when you had to like sequence very specifically, and if you couldn't or if they had the right trigger, you just lost so much tempo and you just lost. And I love living in a world where yellow is not played. Because I
Yeah.
see a lot of people say they think like yellow is potentially one of the worst colors in the game. I'm like, dude, I think
Oh,
it's like the third best color.
yeah.
I think yellow in a vacuum is the third best color.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then
I, c- I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about like just card effects in general, mm, I
actually no, it's probably fourth. It's
I would
probably
say
fourth.
probably fourth, maybe. Yeah.
I think only red and blue and worse. But a lot of people think it's like yellow is unplayable. I'm like, dude, yellow is not unplayable.
Yeah. It's just
Play not purple into a yellow deck, and you're like, this is not fun
yeah.
at all.
Yeah. I think for me, I the only thing that makes me not enjoy yellow playing it or really playing against it at all is just the triggers for the most part. I think that was a unfortunate mechanic that they added to. Wow, you know what? Actually, I am looking at every single egghead card in the game right now. There is one card that doesn't have a trigger. That's it,
Yep.
and it's a vanilla. That's
Yep.
it.
It's
Um,
it's crazy.
that's one thing that bothers me about that. Like I don't think it's not a great mechanic. You know, when you already have a card game that relies on luck to a degree. There's always some form of luck. You know, do you draw good enough cards, the right cards that you need, blah blah blah, this that and the other. But when you add the extra luck of, hey, I get to do this effect for free, and sometimes do the effect for free and even get the card back to my hand, that's absurd. Or go net positive from being, your opponent trying to get closer to winning the game. I don't know. I'm not huge on it. I think that triggers are fine if they're sparse, like you have them from time to time. But in every single card and every single life, it gets a little old. So that's one thing that I'm not overly joyed about, seeing that we'll have more characters and more stuff to do that. I would personally love to see. This is just me. I would love to see them build, more yellow, more around like the idea of black yellow Luffy. Like that's the kind of yellow to me that makes sense. Like that's how yellow should have been designed to start with. Is using life manipulation, but it's not a heavy life manipulation of your opponent as it is your own. Like you're pulling cards out of your life for some, that's essentially you're KOing yourself in some way, shape, or form by doing that. Like you're just taking your life down, further. So if you're going to punish yourself, then you get rewarded in some other way. So like take life, draw another card or something like that. Take life, get the plus 2k to leader like B Wide has. Like that kind of build is very thought out in my opinion. It's very what yellow should have been initially. But speaking of BY Luffy, as I was talking about, I think at the very start of this episode, One Piece Top Decks, their Twitter page or X page right now, has been posting some OP13 as well as some old leaders that are doing well in the OP13 meta currently in Japan, just testing out at a couple events. And there was a cup. I don't know how many players, but for somebody to go 8-0, that means it had to have been a pretty good amount of players. But there was first place being taken by Black Yellow Luffy going 8-0. And it's so cool, like seeing the deck list and seeing that 5-cost ace card that is kind of like a revitalization of a less good Gecko Moria. Yeah. And it's a searchable Gecko Moria, arguably, that's what makes it so cool. So like, I'm very happy to see this deck doing well, because personally, I've always been a big fan of the deck. I knew that it was very unbelievably broken because of the with having Moria and everything. It was just nuts, like how good that deck was. But it was a very skill intensive deck, and bringing it back, but maybe not just having the powerhouse of Moria, looks awesome. It looks so cool. So I'm very happy to see that. Is there any are there any decks or leaders that you would like to see, like maybe get some support and crush it in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I feel like a lot of the leaders that I would say are about to rotate, and to a certain degree, I actually don't want them to be good, because it's like that's blue yellow queen and like purple yellow croc. I think in theory they're like really fun to play, but I think if they were ever really good, their gameplay loop is like not fun to play against at all.
Yeah.
And so like I hesitate to say that. So what is there? Honestly,
I know
drop
mine.
Moria. I think Black Moria.
Black Moria. Oh shoot, that
Yeah.
was mine. That was mine.
Yeah.
I want to see Black
I
Moria
had
come back
so
eventually.
much fun playing that deck.
Yeah, that deck was great, bro. That was so fun.
06 was so fun. I remember I went to my
Yeah.
first like out of state regional. I went to Pasadena. Not Pasadena. Was it Pasadena? No. It was like San Jose or something. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
Santa Clara. And it was 06 just came out, and I played Moria, and it was fun. I played Moria most of that set. And man, it was just a good time. I met like a lot of friends that I talked to online at that event.
Yeah.
And then like that deck was just so fun.
It was
and
great.
And then 07 came out and Lucci came out, and it's like, what if we like never played this deck ever?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
I was so sad. I was like, no.
He was so good, and then Lucci was like, I can just do so much more. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. And it was funny because I didn't want to play Lucci, but then I needed to get my invite for Nats. And so I brought Lucci to a store regional, and I ended up beating like two. I had the gauntlet, bro. I played against two BY Luffys, one of which got top 16 at the previous Nats, right? And I beat him. And I was just like, bro, this deck is broken.
Lucci was so
this
crazy.
deck is broken. I beat two BY Luffys. I beat another Lucci mirror, and I beat shoot, I actually don't remember what the other one was. I think it might.
Regardless, you earned that.
Yeah, I did. But I got to the finals, right? And it's another Lucci mirror, right? And I was like, all right, I feel confident though. I've ran the gauntlet. I'm feeling good right now. Bro, I did not see a single what was it, Helmeppo, or a single oh my gosh, Spandine. That's it. Yeah. So they were all at the bottom of my deck. I didn't see either one of them until I want to say something like maybe turn 5 or turn 6. And by then my opponent had played like 2 Morias, wiped my board twice. I had played 1 Moria that played nothing out essentially, because it played out like a Lucci. I think that was it, actually. It just played a Lucci. I don't even think I played a lower character.
That's crazy.
I don't even think I had a Suru in trash. Like, I had nothing, bro. I was struggling. Yeah, it was tough, dude. It was tough. That was like the saddest loss of my life. So I ended up getting second place, but I mean, hey, it got me my invite, so I'll take it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But man, I'm so excited for nationals coming up. You're gonna be there, right? Or dude, you're literally
I'll
like
be there.
yeah, you're like hours away. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'll be
actually,
there. I don't know what I'm playing because I have my invite. No clue what I'm.
yeah,
It'll be fun. I'm just excited to see everyone again and finally, because I haven't been able to compete basically since I got my invite in Peoria. I haven't done any of the onlines or anything,
right.
and so really excited to just like figure out what I take, but mainly just to see people. Like I'm just excited to see everyone
It's always
and
good.
just like yeah, just have a good time playing the game we love and seeing everyone again.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'm super stoked for it, and you and I got to get some testing in because I've been doing a little bit of playing, but I haven't built the decks yet. Like I got to build the decks to take them out and get some practice in because I feel like I've just been playing on the sim, but I got to get in the swing of things using the cards themselves because otherwise I'll be sitting
Yeah,
here like, is that how that interaction works? You know,
yeah,
so
for
used to the
sure.
sim doing it for me or something. But man, I think we're gonna wrap it up here, ladies and gentlemen. We will definitely be back for an episode for sure, no doubt, prior to nationals. I do think that there's going to be a I think it would be worth talking about what we see on the 30th, but I'll have to look and we'll have to do some double checking to see if we can figure out if there are some other events that we can maybe pull some information from as well. Um, and talk about some of these deck lists in an episode maybe prior to nationals. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you again to all of our listeners on Spotify and YouTube. I know we had a couple of technical difficulties this time. We're going to get that resolved, and because hey, like I said, me and Daniel FTC had the same problems when we first started. I mean, God, the amount of times that I messed up recording both of our audio or something like that was actually kind of embarrassing. Didn't do that this time, but but yeah, we're gonna get it all looking good, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Yeah, until then. Hope you guys enjoy grinding some of the OP12 meta. If you guys want to let us know what you're playing and everything, just hop in the Discord. I got my Discord, or we're both on Twitter, we're both on X. Shoot us a message, shoot us a post. Would love to see what everybody's playing. If you got some lists that you can send my way, I'd love to see. I've been trying to figure out green purple Luffy, so we're working on it. All right, well, y'all have a good one. Take care, much love, and peace.